Shalom. If you are viewing this video as it came out, then I take it you are a part of the Patreon community, and for that I thank you for your support. If you are viewing this on YouTube, I take it will be a little bit distant into the future, perhaps a week or so from the point in which you, the Patreon viewer, is seeing this. Without further ado, this series is going to be dedicated into discussing the secrets of an Ilanot, a scroll of the trees. Now, this type of scroll discusses the entirety of the upper world system, and this particular scroll is going to go through the worlds of Adam Kadmon, Atzilus, and Bariah. So, without further ado, let us begin. As you guys can see, there's a large scroll in a box here. So I'm going to go ahead and take the scroll out and show it to you. It's very large. It's roughly just under 2 feet across, and its length is somewhere in the range of 40 feet. To begin, I'll read to you what it says at the top. It says Sepher Melech, the scroll of the king. And it says Bayarat Yod-He-Vav-He, in the awe of Hashem, or in the fear of Hashem. And of course at the bottom here it says Yirah A. So, I will break this scroll down section by section, piece by piece. And as we slowly move along, we will, by the end of this series, understand the complete system of this particular Ilanot. To get a general understanding of where we are in terms of the world systems, we begin at the Kether of the world of Adam Kadmon. This would correspond to the highest Sepher here, and you can see underneath it, it says the word Ain. Thus, the name Ain is used here as well, the top right hand, followed by the word Ani, which means I am. And it is known, Ani, is a name that signifies the Sepher Yirah of Malchut, the lowest Sepher Yirah. The Zohar states that Malchut ascends into the endless. Furthermore, on the top left-hand corner, we see Kether, the Atika. A source for understanding this can be found in the monumentous text Apples from the Orchard, which I'll quote now. We find here in Vayikra, page 523, a correspondence to the divine name of Yod, He, Vav, and He. We see that the upper thorn of the Yod corresponds to the Sepher of Kether. And in relation to the Partsuf in Tikkun, we see Atik Yomin, the Ancient of Days, and Arikain Pin. Furthermore, we also verify that both of these correspond to the primordial man, or Adam Kadmon. Along the left side, we see a column. This column contains the 22 Hebrew letters Aleph, Beit, Gimel, Dalet, He, Vav, Zain, Chet, Tet, Yud, Kaf, Lamed, Mem, Nun, Samech, Ain, Fe, Sadi, Kof, Resh, Shin, and Tav. And to the right, we find a numerical equivalency, which is called gematria. And seeing as at the time that the Hebrew language was in use, there was no number system. Thus, the letters themselves were numbers. Aleph was 1, Beit was 2, Gimel was 3, so on and so forth. At the point of Yod, It introduces 10s, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Kof is 100, Resh is 200, Shin is 300, Tav is 400, and there are 5 final letters that are called Sofit. In the beginning, which is what this is dealing with, we are specifically dealing with the matter of the Atika Kadisha, or the Ancient Holy One. And the Ancient Holy One itself is comprised of the 22 Hebrew letters. For the 22 Hebrew letters themselves create the image of a man. Fe is a mouth, Kof is a skull, Gimel is the secret of the leg, so on and so forth. And so the Atika Kadisha itself is symbolically represented by the 22 letters. And this is demonstrated here in the Zohar. In Achremot, Parsha 303, it says, "Come and see. The first subject of the Torah we give to children is the alphabet. This is a matter that mankind cannot comprehend, nor can it rise in their minds, not to mention saying it with their mouths. Even supernal angels and the most sublime cannot comprehend it, as these matters are the mysteries of the holy name." Thus we learn that the mysteries of the holy name, referring to the Atika Kadisha, who is called holy, refer to specifically the 22 letters. And moreover, we learn that neither angels nor supernal ones, referring to Partsufim and constructs that are even above them, are familiar with their secrets. So at this point in the process of creation, we should not imagine that even the letters are in this place, but rather that the letters' essence, for the letters themselves are but vessels, and the essence is the truth in them. To quote from Sepher Yirah, chapter 2, verse 1, it states, "The 22 foundation letters, 3 mothers, 7 doubles, and 12 elementals." It then states the 3 mothers are Aleph, Mem, and Shin. This is further demonstrated by what is below, that being the Aleph and the Tav. Aleph, as you can see, is the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet, and Tav is the last letter of the Hebrew alphabet. Collectively, Aleph, Tav represents the totality. So, let us analyze some of these principles as they appear. The first thing that we'll be analyzing are the 3 mother letters. As it was demonstrated, they are Aleph, Mem, and Shin. We now know they are air, water, fire, and earth. We will be analyzing Sepher Yirah A to understand this. If you do not have a copy of Sepher Yirah A, I will leave a link in the description below if you'd like to obtain one. As we can see here, Aleph is air, Mem is water, Shin is fire, and Mem Sofit is earth. Respectively, they attribute to the base elements, which are energy, gases, liquids, and solids. This principle permeates through all of existence, as all of existence is comprised of these 4 things: energy, gases, liquids, and solids, which constitute the very building blocks of existence. We can see regarding our planet that our planet is a body of liquids and solids, and is separated from the stars above us by the atmosphere. We can further see that our head, which utilizes light via the brain, is separated from our stomach, processing liquids and solids, by our lungs that breathes the air. We can also see this division is apparent in our face. Our eyes that see the light are separated from our mouth, taking in liquids and solids, by our nose that breathes the air. And if I was to go back in time, we could see the same principle attributed to a dinosaur, in which its eyes that see the light are separated from its mouth, taking in liquids and solids, by its nose that breathes the air, and its body to the same aforementioned. Its head, in which utilizes the light via the brain sending light signals to move the body, is separated from its stomach, processing liquids and solids, by its lungs that breathes the air. And if there happened to be an extraterrestrial, it too would be divided by the same aforementioned process. Its eyes, that would utilize some type of light, would be separated from its mouth, taking in liquids and solids, from its nose, breathing some kind of atmospheric substance. And its brain, sending light signals throughout the body, would be separated from its digestive system, which would be processing liquids and solids, from its lungs, in which would be breathing some type of atmospheric substance. And from this, we can learn that this divine principle is above both time, as if we go back hundreds of millions of years ago, we can see the principle self-evident, and beyond form. And if we go into any corner of the universe, in over 100 billion galaxies, we will find that every planet is a body of liquids and solids separated from a centralized star by space. So the principle is here as well. And if there was a deity to be before you, whether it be the Egyptians, the Assyrians, the Hindu, or the Greek gods, for example, whether it be a demon or an angel, all of them are divided by the same law. Aleph separates mem from shin, which means that the air divides the liquids and solids from the light. And we see this same principle carried throughout. Thus, the Zohar stated that the angels were not aware of the letters. And even when it comes to an animal, it too, its eyes that see the light are separated from its mouth, taking liquids and solids, from its nose that breathes the air. And its head, which processes light, will be separated from its stomach, processing liquids and solids, by its lungs that breathe the air. And the same thing constitutes with a plant. It will receive its color from the light, it will utilize photosynthesis, separated from its roots in the earth drawing water, by its leaves converting some type of atmospheric substance. In this case, carbon dioxide being produced into oxygen. And these 22 letters were the secret of the holy place, in which one would have to pass to enter the Holy of Holies, into the secret of seeing God, as Hashem would reveal himself in the Holy of Holies. Now in the holy place, the three mother letters themselves are represented by the three items found there. The altar of incense, which was Aleph, attributing to the air, as incense is an aspect of the air, and it divided the shewbread from the menorah, the shewbread being the aspects of mem, as it takes both water and solids to create it, from shin, this being the principle of fire. This is further demonstrated by the 7 double letters that are found in the 7 branches of the menorah, and the 12 elemental letters that are found in the 2 stacks of 6 in the shewbread. Thus, 3, 7, and 12 equal 22, which is the totality of the 22 letters, signifying to us that the holy place is the secret of the 22 letters, and one must pass through this place in order to enter the Holy of Holies, by which God himself is revealed. Thus, the 22 letters themselves represent secret principalities of existence, laws of existence. And these principles existed before the letters themselves existed, for the letters are only but vessels by which these principles are contained. So at the top right hand of the scroll, we see the aforementioned principle of Aleph separating mem from shin. And we can see it attributed to the face again, our eyes that see the light, separated from a mouth, taking liquids and solids, by a nose that breathes the air. We see in every corner of the universe, every planet, a body of liquids and solids, separated from a centralized star, shin, by space, Aleph. We see the environment being land and sea, separated from the stars above us by the atmosphere. And we can see in the plants, they receive their color from the light, separated from roots in the earth drawing water, by leaves converting atmospheric substance. This law and principle precedes even the light. For light is divided by the same principle, in that yellow blends with blue to create green, and yellow blends with red to create orange. Thus the principle of Aleph separating them from Shin exists here as well. Therefore, not even light can be attributed to this place, for light had not yet been manifested. And neither can the tree be attributed to this place, for the tree itself is divided by the aforementioned principles. Aleph separates Mem from Shin, and we can see this in terms of the tree of life itself. The top 3 points of the Shin correlate to Kether, Chokmah, and Bina. The base of the Shin is Da'as. We see the top of the Yud that corresponds to Chesed, the bottom Yud of Aleph that corresponds to Gevura, and the Vav in between to Tiferes. We find the 2 top points of Mem that correspond to Netzach and Hod, and the base of Mem to Yisod. And we also find that the Mem Sofit corresponds to Malchut. Beneath it, in Hebrew, it says Rosh, which means head, of Esh, fire. This is quoted from Sepher Yirah and Atika respectively, which I'll quote now. In the 5th gate, chapter 6, it says the following. Now we say that Aleph, Mem, and Shin according to the following configuration in Sepher Yirah. The first 3 are the lines of Shin, meaning Kether, Chokmah, and Bina, because the head was created from fire. Aleph is composed of the 3 middle ones, Chesed, Gevurah, and Tifereth, as explained, because the body was created from air, Ruach. Chesed and Gevurah are the 2 yods of the Aleph, and Tifereth is the Vav in the middle of the Aleph, as mentioned in many places in the Zohar. The open Mem in Yisod includes the lower 3, which are Netzach, Hod, and Yisod respectively, Netzach, Hod, and Yisod, because the belly was made from water, etc. Thus we find the tree here, and thus the tree itself is divided by the aforementioned principle. And so we see that Aleph separates Mem from Shin not only divided the light and preceded it, it also precedes the Sephirot, which are commonly referred to as the Sephirot of emanation. Regarding the Sephirot of emanation, Atika has this to state. It states, it should not rise in your mind, and you should not make the mistake to think that the 10 Sephirot, which are called the 10 Sephirot of emanation, referring to Atzilut, within the Zohar, are more ancient and higher than anything emanated, because many worlds preceded them. And then it goes on to state, you will be amazed and astonished to see how many grades upon grades without end or number preceded the 10 Sephirot that we call the 10 Sephirot of emanation. Thus we are analyzing one of the beginning principles, the principle that preceded the Sephirot of emanation. For the Sephirot of emanation, commonly referred to in Atzilut, are divided by the aforementioned principle. And so, with that being said, this concludes the very first video of our series discussing the secrets of the Ilanot. This, again, corresponds to Kether of the Atik. Perhaps in a few side videos, I will discuss the other aforementioned letters, and we will discuss their principalities. With all of this being said, I hope you guys are able to understand and grasp this first level, which is the Kether of Atik in the world of Adam Kadmon, which preceded Atzilut. Shalom, Selah.